Today I will take a look at this XFLY Glastar version 2. So first let's start assembling this Glastar. The build on this Glastar then is more or less exactly the same as on the version 1. So first off you have the landing gears consisting of this aluminum bracket and this plastic piece to hold everything in place. You have 3 screws, and in the package for this RC airplane there are not many parts to assemble, and there are like a couple of long screws and short screws. So the short screws then is for the landing gears and for the spinner, and the longer ones are for the wing and the rear stabilizer. So it doesn't take many turns to get these in. Goes very quickly, just to make sure they are all tight. The rudder, servo and linkage is already mounted, but in order to mount the rear stabilizer you have to turn the rudder in one direction and then fit in the horizontal stabilizer just in the right position, and then you have 2 of these longer screws to fasten the stabilizer. And I think it's fantastic when you have only screws to assemble an RC airplane, because that means that you can take them apart and store them inside the box, which is important to me. Some might just have their RC airplanes mounted all the time, but due to lack of storage space, I really have to disassemble my RC airplanes and just keep them in the box when I don't fly them, or at least most of them. Then you have the linkage for the elevator. So just put this one in and make sure that it's all level. So you might have to do adjustments. I didn't have to do it on mine. Then just this ball plier, just to squeeze it in, and then you're all set. You have the receiver then, and there is a pit for this one. I use hot glue. Just put it in from the top. This is an AR631 receiver. Just put it in and press for a few seconds just to have it being secured. Then I also take a little bit of hot glue in the front edge just to avoid this one turning, and the hot glue has been working just fine on all my receivers on all my RC airplanes. I've done it for 50 or 60 RC airplanes, so it works just great. And as far as the main wing, you have this included Y cable. Just make sure that you align the cables so they are you don't swap them when you do this adapter then. Just to press them in all the way so that they lock in place. To mount the wing, put the cable inside the top hole then. And then you have this lip on the front section, and then just slide the back section in. To fasten this wing then you have 2 screws, 2 of the longer screws. So you put them in, and it doesn't take many turns to fasten them, just enough. So this is more or less just like you assemble most of the FMS RC airplanes. XFLY, I think they do come from a former employee of FMS. Then you have the struts then, you put this in, and then you have this clip, and you have 1 for each side. You just put this clip in and just shove it in so it's locked in place. And you do the same thing on the other side. Included is also a Velcro strip, so you put this one in. There's also a strap, so the battery will never move. In my opinion, it will be really securely mounted if you use both the strip and the strap. The last thing when it comes to assemble is the prop and spinner. So you should do this after you set up your TX, but it's quite simple. You have the back plate, you have the prop, you have this fastening nut, so you just turn this one all the way in, and then I usually use my 2mm hex driver then just to put it in the hole and tighten it, just not super tight but tight enough. And then you have the spinner cone, use this shorter screw, put it in, and the 2mm hex driver then again to screw this one all the way in. And I think it's a really nice and easy solution when you have it done like this on this XFLY Glastar. And then in the end, just make sure that the prop spins freely. Just as most FMS RC airplane, this one goes together so easy. It's just a great build and a great experience to get this one together. I did opt to put in a AR631 receiver in this RC airplane, and after the build I looked in my toolbox and I discovered that I had an Avian 45 amp speed controller. So I just put this one in, and mostly because I want to have all the telemetry features and also do reverse thrust on my RC airplanes, because it's a really great feature to have. So I didn't have to swap the speed controller then, but as I had it in my toolbox, but I'll make good use of it. So let's go outside and see how this Glastar version 2 flies then. So, nice morning. Couple of minus degrees, almost no wind. So let's get this one up in the air then. So you can hear the wheels keep on turning when you've left the ground. That was the rattling noise. And this plane then, it does feature a 4S compatible speed controller and motor, so I have a 4S 2200 milliamp battery inside, and it does feel a little bit more sporty than the original Glastar version 1 then. I had a couple of things that I didn't like about the first version then. It was the colors of the RC airplane. It was that it wasn't a really great slow flying RC airplane, and maybe it was a little bit lacking in power department, but as far as power goes, it's really nice. I also think that the colors on this RC airplane right now is just fantastic. It's so super visible, easy to orientate. 4S certainly does just make this one fly really well. And when you push it on 4S, it does have a really nice speed. This is a bush plane, so I don't expect it to be like a speed demon, but still really nice. Easy to just move around in the sky. Let's see how it handles kind of slower flying. It doesn't really slow down as well as I would have liked. And I know that the first version then at least had the kind of a, if you went too slow and banged it too much, it wanted to just dip the wing and kind of tip stall. So I'm keeping speed up then with this RC airplane. And this is the land direction, but I still have too much speed. So as you can see, I mean, I have a fence to my right, so I cannot go too far on this football field then. Oops, oh, okay, I've just lost power for a few seconds. Okay, let's get this one down, I know what happened. So it's going to be kind of a hot landing and just kick in reverse while I'm... Yeah, so reversing is really useful. I mean, that was kind of scary, just losing the power right in flight. I really have to check what happened with this RC airplane. I like 1 or 2 seconds where I just totally lost control and power this RC airplane. That was kind of an interesting Maiden. Now what happened was that like 50 or 60 meters away and just clear line of sight, I had this power failure, just loss of communication on this RC airplane. So just for like 2 seconds, I had no power, I had no control of this RC airplane. So had I been like in a really bad spot, it wasn't really the great spot as it was, but in a bad spot, I might have crashed this RC airplane. But I regained control then after a few seconds. And I got this down, and thankfully for me swapping then to the Avian ESC, I had reverse thrust set up on this RC airplane. So I mean, I just had to get this one down. I didn't want to bounce too much, and then reverse thrust meant I could stop this RC airplane before I hit the fence. So reverse thrust is just a fantastic feature which I like to have then on all my RC airplanes. And then I had just a look at my TX, and I could see that there were a lot of frame losses. Usually you have like maybe 100 or 50 or like 200 or 300. This time it was like 1500, so really severe, and I don't know why, because I had a AR631 receiver inside, and I just tried to move the antenna, but I couldn't really see any difference then. So what I've done since that flight, I've replaced the receiver, so now I have an AR637T, which features 2 antennas. So one is just set up like vertical and one is set up horizontal. So hopefully I won't experience any kind of a signal loss on this RC airplane. So it could certainly be the environment, because there is a construction nearby, and maybe they have some sort of radio communication or Wi-Fi net, I don't know. So that was quite interesting. But I think that this RC airplane flies nice. The best thing about it is, of course, the paint. I mean, you have these stripes underneath the wing, just super fantastic for orientation. A white underside, this orange top side. Overall, I think this plane looks fantastic when it flies. It's still not a great slow flying RC plane. So what I've done, and which I will show them the next round of flights I do with this RC plane, I set up flaperons on this RC plane. So we'll see if I can get this one to slow down in a better way, because the first plane, it was kind of prone to tip stall. It was also kind of prone to get a little bit squirrely when you did slower speed aerobatics. So it wasn't really a good, solid, slow flying, handling RC plane. I mean, and this is not still a heavy RC airplane. Just compare this one to my Maul M7, which of course do have a larger wing. The Maul is much heavier, but it just flies so fantastic, slow, and just you can bank and turn everything. So this is more of experienced. I will just continue to experience then with flaps and see if I can get this one to be a good slow flying RC airplane. I think that the tires then, they are really oversized, so it doesn't look too well. I pump mine pretty hard, because I believe that if you pump them hard, it might sound a little bit strange, but I think you will experience less bouncing. So of course you cannot pump them super hard, but then I think they will just pop. But these are quite stiff then. I think that the 4S capability on this RC airplane is just great. I can feel that I have more power to push it. It doesn't draw too much current either. I think it's like it's just slightly above 30 amp. So it's just fantastic. And I put in a 45 amp speed controller in mine, so I have lots of headroom. I think this prop is also actually very nice. I got a nice tips to it, so it's a nice prop sound. Hopefully the landing gears then are more robust than the first version, because these landing gears then on the first version like to splay out when you have kind of hard landings. But overall, I'm pleased with this RC airplane. I think I have to do a little bit more experiment then, and just experience this one a little bit more, and just keep on pushing it. So I will certainly just come back to this one, but for now, a great looking RC airplane, much better than the first version, and a really fun one to fly.